Hello everyone, today we're going to be having a look at areas of research in applied linguistics. And to be more specific, this one is going to be about researching speaking. Okay, so first we just need to talk about the agenda, today's agenda. We're going to have a look at introduction, research strategies and techniques, transcription of spoken data, parsing and tagging, elicited data and experimental approaches, synthesis of current thinking and research, and some articles comparison that we're going to have at the end. So let's now get started with the introduction. Speaking is an ability that humans can almost easily and unconsciously absorb as breathing. However, this is a very complicated study. Spoken language is the core of human beings' most complex and ordinary activities. Daily conversation is a social glue that supports all human relationships. Spoken language has always been the origin and promotion of media of numerous creative performance, political, educational, and ideological developments in human history. Despite technological development, face-to-face speaking is still the main medium for everyone to collaborate on information and tasks. Research strategies and techniques. In the research we have research into speaking is generally carried out via two main means. One, capturing and examining authentic speech data, and two, capturing and examining elicited or non-authentic speech data. Many methods of oral language research depend on being able to access conversation or other forms of voice data and make it ready for analysis. These range from discourse to ethnographic methods to large spoken language corpora. In psycholinguistics and second language acquisition research, the role's transcription is not so important, although in the former, transcription usually requires experimental data from the subject. This experimental data need to be captured in written form. This makes transcription one of the most critical tools in spoken language research. And it is also a tool that any new researcher needs to consider when establishing their methodological framework. Transcription of spoken data. Many studies of spoken language not only relied on capturing data through electronic records, but also transcribing it into static and easier to analyze written pattern. Before the development of speech recognition software that can help transcription automation to some extent, converting speech data into written mode was a very time-consuming process, a process that needed to be considered in the design of research project framework. Actually, it takes at least 6 minutes from a 1-minute conversation to be accurately and basically transcribed. All transcription conventions try to express sound information in a certain way, but no systems can capture the salient information in the entire language. Even short, seamless, simple voices contain this information. Now we have this, parsing and tagging. But what is this? Let's now have a look. A very specific kind of transcription is used in corpus linguistics and speech recognition systems to capture not only acoustic information but also lexical and syntactic details. Parsing refers to the process by which spoken data is broken down into its grammatical constituents, and tagging is the means by which these constituents, often down to the level of individual words and parts of the word, morphemes, are labeled so that a computer can aid the researcher in the process of analysis. Now we have elicited data and experimental approaches. For the theoretical and methodological reasons, the research on speech is not always, or in fact not necessarily, carried out directly on the spoken language samples found in our daily lives. Those who do not use a spontaneous spoken language are roughly divided into two categories: those who try to imitate real spoken data and elicit data in a more manageable way. Those who stay away from contextualized speech data and build experimental frameworks which analyzes every accurate voice samples. Therefore, the main problem is spoken language research is usually the type of transcription used. The decision researchers need to make for this can be seen as related to the basic process of material collection, and to some extent related to the development of survey tools. The reason for this is that writing speech is not a neutral process, and the decision to determine which features to capture and how to best embody these features in a static visual writing medium is closely related to the overall purpose of the investigation. Now we have the synthesis of caring, thinking, and research. Spoken language research is very unusual because many of the debates surrounding theoretical issues are intertwined with the above-mentioned practical questions about which data is considered an acceptable basis for investigation and how to best conduct research. These questions have indeed become the core of a very basic question in the study of a spoken language. What is the spoken language and how do you analyze it? To some extent, the question in the debate is whether completely real research data is required as speech data. The foundation of language research is, in part, these problems related to the larger question of the role of naturally occurring data in language theory. Now we have three articles which carried out an investigation in spoken language. We're going to talk about the names of this research, the structure they have, the method, and the major findings. The first one is developing EFL learners' speaking skills through dynamic assessment, a case of a beginner and advanced learner. In the structure, we can have the introduction, theoretical framework, methodology, results and discussion, and final remarks. Research methods, research instrument, interviews. Research method was qualitative. Major finding: the frequency and types of language learners' errors were extracted from their narration. Incorrect use of past tense was the most frequent error in the beginner's narration, and the incorrect use of prepositions was the most frequent error by his advanced counterpart. The next one talks about developing speaking skills through speaking-oriented workshops. In the structure of this article, we can find the introduction, statement of the problem, theoretical framework, speaking skills development, research design type of research, findings, and conclusions. In the research method, we have action research, has to do with the data gathering and analysis through interviews. The type of research applied in this project is qualitative, or more precisely, action research. In the major findings, we have aspects related to the grounded theory as well as the processes of disassembling and reassembling data mentioned by Freeman, 1898, were considered during the whole process. In general, two main categories were found. The first one related to the English language speaking development, and the second one related to cooperative learning. And we have the last one, the last article, developing the student's English speaking ability through impromptu speaking method. In the structure, we have the introduction, theoretical review, research methodology, discussion and results, conclusion, and suggestion. The method used in this research is qualitative method. The group of students who applied impromptu speaking method was good in speaking more fluently and naturally because they have learned to use their own sentences and their creativity. Final reflections. Throughout this presentation, we have seen the essential components that we need to take into consideration when applying or carrying out investigations on the speaking field. For this, interviews and the qualitative approach seem to be the key to successful investigations, and thanks to technology, nowadays it is easier to record spoken data than it was in the past. This slide is dedicated to the references. We have the book and the references about the articles. And thanks for your attention. I hope you like this video, and you can just leave any comment on the box. Thank you very much. See you next time.